Hi Year 2, this is Mrs Flanagan here. Today we're going to be looking again at animal habitats, and today's learning point is, can I explain how animals and plants need each other in a habitat? So let's have a quick reminder. What is an animal habitat? It is a natural environment. That means it's it is outside, and it is not man-made. So a habitat is a natural environment that an animal lives in. Plants can live there too. A habitat provides animals with three important things: food, shelter, that means a home to live in, and a safe place to raise their young or their babies. So let's just remind ourselves of some of the different habitats. Do you remember in the last couple of science lessons, we've looked at the jungle or the tropical rainforest that you find in Africa, South America, and some of the Asian countries. We've got the seashore and the sea. We've got the polar regions, which are really extremely cold and icy. We've got the savanna, which you'll find in Africa, and that's very warm and dry there, very hot. And we've got woodlands that you find in England, and they can be warm but they can be cold. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at three different animals or living things in different habitats, and we're going to find out how they rely on other animals and plants to survive or to be able to live. So first of all, we're going to look at a lion. What do lions need in a habitat? So the first thing they need is water to stay hydrated in hot conditions, just like we need drinks to survive. So do lions. They also need prey. Now, prey is an animal that is hunted and eaten by another animal. So the lion, they hunt and eat antelopes and zebras. They also need camouflage, which just gives them something to hide in, such as long grass, whilst they hunt their prey. Lions also need plants, which give them a gas called oxygen. So lions need water, antelopes and zebras, long grass to hide in, and oxygen, which comes from plants. So this means that lions are best suited to living in places where there are plenty of zebras to eat and there is long grass to hide in, such as the savanna in Africa. So the next question is, what do birds need in a habitat to help them live and survive? First of all, food, such as berries, which come from plants, worms, and small insects. So they need all of those things. They also need camouflage so that they can hide from their predators, who are animals or living things that will hunt the birds. So their camouflage, they tend to hide in bushes and trees. So they need those things to survive. They need materials for building their nests, such as twigs and leaves, which also come from trees. And the last thing they need is oxygen, which is again a gas that plants give off, and this helps the birds to breathe. This means birds are best suited to living in places where there are plenty of trees, such as woods, gardens, and parks. The next animal we're going to look at is a fox. What do foxes need in a habitat? They need water, again, just like we do. Their prey They prey on birds and mice, so they like birds and mice to eat. They are also scavengers, which means that they will eat almost anything like insects, earthworms, fruit, berries, and food waste left by humans. They also need a den to live in. This is usually a hole under the ground, and in this picture you can see it's under a big tree. And when we looked a few weeks ago at a wood, you know, the walk I did in the wood, I found a den underneath some brambles and a bush. Foxes also need oxygen to breathe in, which plants and trees give out. This means foxes are best suited to living in places where there is plenty of water, prey, such as birds and mice, and somewhere for them to make their den. The best place is really a wood or a forest. The last thing we're going to think about is plants. What do plants need in a habitat in order to survive? Plants need bees, butterflies, wasps, and flies to help them make their seeds. As these insects look for nectar, which is their food, in flowers, they actually help to make the seeds in the plant by spreading pollen about. Seeds are important so new baby plants can be grown. You can see a new baby plant growing out of this seed here in the soil. Plants need a gas which animals breathe out, called carbon dioxide. They need carbon dioxide to help them make their own food, which helps them to grow. So plants actually need other insects to help them survive. So now what I'd like you to do for your activity, Year 2, is to take this sheet here. The title is, Can I Explain How Plants and Animals Depend on Each Other in a Habitat? You'll see that we have 4 different living things. The first one is a lion, and there's a question above it that says, what do lions need in a habitat? And what I'd like you to do is think about this lesson, think about when we were talking about the lion and what they need to survive in their habitat, which is the savannah. So have a think about that. Do they need other animals? Do they need plants to survive? What else do they need to survive? While you're thinking about this, I'm going to write down some ideas. How did you get on? Well, as you can see here, I've written down 4 things that I think a lion needs to survive in the savannah. First of all, number 1 is prey. Prey are animals that the animal here, the lion, would like to have as food. So there's zebras or antelopes. The second thing I've written down is water. Lions need water to drink. Number 3, long grass to hide in when they hunt. This helps them to camouflage or hide from other animals. And number 4, I've written down plants to give them oxygen, because as we talked about earlier, they need the plants around them to give out oxygen so they can breathe the oxygen in. Now let's look at the fox. What do foxes need in a habitat? Have a think and have a look back to earlier in the video. Can you write down the things that foxes need in a habitat to survive? Then I'd like you to look at the bird. What do birds need in a habitat to survive? Try and write down 3 or 4 things that the bird needs. And lastly, what do plants need in a habitat to survive? Do they need other plants or do they need animals to help them survive and make seeds which can be planted to make new plants or their babies. I hope that you get on okay with this year 2, and can I just say I'm really looking forward to seeing you again when you return back to school. Okay, bye for now.